Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, subscribers to the Authentic Vocal YouTube channel and followers of the Instagram page would have seen recently that Seal has joined us there with an authentic vocal performance of Kiss from a Rose, and that came from the Vertex Effects YouTube channel. Now, Mason has been very kind and given me the footage and actually all of the interview and the raw footage to do with that. So a huge thank you to Mason for providing that to me. But he also provided more information on the performance. So I thought, well, why not do an analysis video on it? Because it's such a great performance, but also we can have a look at Seal's authentic vocal. So as always, there's a link in the description below to the original video over on Vertex Effects, as well as the performances. There's the interview with Seal. So it's all really interesting stuff. But we're going to be jumping into looking at the whole performance and looking at Seal's voice as well from that authentic vocal angle. But I just want to start with everything as it is in the video. Let's have a listen.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
I'm going to jump in already because we've got a great sound here, and I have to mention about Mason's guitar playing and the way that he was actually thinking it was going to be something else entirely. He wasn't actually due to play with Seal on this particular song or any of the songs, because Seal's guitarist, Zach Wish, was supposed to be playing, but then because of, I think, conflicts schedule-wise, but also weather-wise with hurricanes on the East Coast, which is where Zach is based, it just so worked out that Mason was then going to play guitar with Seal. And of course, Mason is then, as he's told me, looking at lots of different performances to see what chords are being played, or more importantly, the voicings of the chords, open string chords, in order to, as Mason says, not get in Seal's way and just provide that accompaniment. And you can see obviously Seal is playing guitar as well. On the day, Seal said he thinks it would be better for Mason to go electric and play the 1966 Strat that we can see here. So it means that Mason, all of the prep that he'd done, using a capo and open string chords and all of that, has to take a back seat. So it's great because it puts this performance in a different light, that Mason is very much just now going with the flow, and rather than playing with a capo. And I know that sometimes when you are learning a piece where you're using a capo and it relies on that for open string chords, it's almost like a standalone piece that you learn and you remember, because it's, especially if you don't play with a capo a lot of the time, it can be something that is its own unique arrangement, especially when you're talking about open string chords and different variations that you might not normally play. I mean, that is a lot of this sound, the way that Seal is playing his guitar, the dynamic range that we have between the two guitars is so important. Obviously, great sound and really well mixed, but really stripped back. Let's listen on.
There used to be a granite tower alone on the sea. You became the light on the dark side of me. Love remains a drug that's high, not the pill. Did you know when it snowed?
And actually, in the background there, you can hear a little bit of work from Mason going on as well, just with a few little fills just popping in there. So it sounds great because it doesn't detract at all. And when you listen out for it, you think, oh, that's a cool little fill in the background. Anyway, just turning the spotlight on Seal here, because what you start to appreciate with Seal, actually, I'm going to get rid of this first. Seal, I mean, when he's playing guitar, it's something that I haven't really noticed before, because Seal, when I've seen him performing, great performer, and, like front man, you know, out at the front of the stage and, you know, interacting with the crowd as well, doing all that kind of stuff. He doesn't necessarily always have a guitar because, you know, he's doing the whole, you know, entertainment showmanship thing as well as providing top quality vocals. But here you might notice that Seal plays the guitar upside down. So it's like taking a right-handed guitar and just flipping it over, playing it left-handed and not adjusting the strings. And this is something that people commonly mistake with Jimi Hendrix, where Jimi Hendrix used to take a right-handed guitar and turn it over, but before he would play it, he's restrung it so that the low E string is, you know, closest to him and the high E string is furthest away, which is, you know, how it works when you're playing right-handed. And then if you turn it over left-handed, unless you change the strings, which Jimi Hendrix did, they're going to be upside down, which means you'll see that we've got the low E string the furthest away from Seal as he's playing, and the high E string is the closest. So, I mean, it's a really interesting thing to look at, especially as a guitar teacher myself, to see how people learn to play the instrument, and it doesn't affect their playing at all. But we're just going to listen to the isolated vocal now from the beginning.
Da 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 da.
I mean, even in this first phrase, you can take so much from that vocal. And just to mention as well that, I mean, Seal is an authentic vocalist, and Mason said that they did 1, maximum 2 takes of the songs that they performed, and Seal's approach is very much like treating a performance as a Polaroid picture, Mason says, where I know Mason said that he's paraphrasing, but having a moment in time, and that is the performance, and not changing it, editing it, or, you know, doing loads and loads and loads of different takes, or, you know, comp takes, all this kind of stuff. So this is why this is such a genuine performance, was such a great performance. And what you start to realize when listening to Seal's voice, I mean, he just sounds amazingly accurate, and we can see that on screen. If I just skip this forward a little bit, you'll see how, you know, here, for example, you know, pretty much bang over the C sharp 3, F sharp 3 here as well. But it's great because it shows you on screen in black and white or black and yellow how pitch is not the be all and end all, but the lack of pitch is absolutely essential. And when I say that, I mean the lack of pitch accuracy. When you're listening to Seal's voice, obviously, you know, his voice is so unique, and kind of the gravelly sound that he's got that's in there. But have a listen to this again.
Da 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 da.
Anybody listening to that would say, well, that sounds absolutely pitch perfect. But then you realize when we go back that, you know, we're a little bit flat here and we're a little bit flat here. And it's great because this is exactly what I talk about in so many of my analysis videos, that the expression and the artist's personality is in their voice, and more often than not, you'll see it in pitch. So even though that sounds absolutely bang on, how come some of it is not quite bang on? It's because this is Seal's natural voice. This hasn't been pitch corrected. It's not auto-tuned. So it means that sometimes we get, you know, really accurate notes here. Obviously, Seal's not singing this looking at a graph. He's just using his authentic voice, which means that the tiny imperfections are the things that make him unique, and it makes every singer unique. And this is the point. Again, here, when we come straight in with the verse, you could argue that we're between notes there, but have a listen to it.
There used to be a granite tower alone on the sea. You became the light on the dark side of me. Love remains a drug that's high, not the pill. Did you know when it snowed, my eyes become large and the light that you shine can't be seen?
So I'm just going to jump in here. Again, such an accurate vocal. So I'm just going to let this play on, and I'll bring in the guitars as well.
Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on.
So, by the way, if you're watching the guitar here, if you do play the guitar, you can see capo 2nd fret and the D chord being played at the top of the guitar. Obviously, you'd be looking at that and thinking, oh, that doesn't look like a G or a C, but it's because the strings are upside down. So, yeah, it's great. And, oh, by the way, D, E, C, if you're wanting to play along with this, that's the kind of area that you want to go to. This isn't an instructional video. I'm going to be just talking about the vocals here. I can't help mention the guitar as well.
I get of you the stranger it feels, yeah. Now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave.
And I know that the problem with a performance like this is you just get into it. And I guess this is the thing that with more modern performances, it's rare. It's becoming increasingly rare to be able to get into a performance. I mean, I look at loads of performances on the channel, and when you're looking at something genuine that hasn't been corrected, and with the correction comes the sound of processing and the fact that notes have been manipulated, and that's the first thing that you hear. So it's rare to have a performance that, you know, sounds this good from a mixing point of view, but also doesn't have any editing going on that's kind of getting stuck in your ear the whole time. But I mean, when we're looking through that verse, and this is the chorus now, you can see how solid Seal's intervals are. Of course, he's been performing this for a very long time, so he's used to the muscle memory of exactly where he needs to snap his vocal cords to. But I mean, even still, it's so accurate. And I always say that with great vocalists, they'll hit the lines, you know, maybe 2, 3, possibly 4 times in a row, but you'll always get a reset because of the expression in the voice. And, you know, it's exactly the same thing here.
I get of you the stranger it feels, yeah.
So this kind of thing where, you know, just bang on here and pretty much bang on here, and then we're between and we just drift up because that, you know, the vocal's got the freedom to go where it goes.
Now that your rose is in bloom.
And when I say about intervals, F#4, absolutely nailing that.
A light hits the gloom on the grave.
So yeah, and it's great because when I mention about those, you know, intervals and hitting the F#4, we then get this reset on the B3. So I think it's really important for singers to be able to appreciate that when you're listening to a vocal like this, I think you could be forgiven for thinking that this is going to be on the lines the whole way through because it sounds so accurate. But then when we look at it, you know, just to appreciate that you shouldn't be singing looking at a graph at A440 standard pitch equal temperament. You should be singing and focusing on the emotion, the feeling, the performance, the artistry of what you're doing, because when you focus on that, rather than trying to, I guess, achieve this in a contrived way of trying to, you know, singing 2 or 3 notes on the lines intentionally is not something that's going to happen. It happens as a byproduct of having really accurate pitch. And then when you're singing with accurate pitch and emotion, that's when you'll get these lines. So you don't want to be trying to sing flat, you know, every 5th note or every 6th note. You want to just be as accurate as possible, but put the feeling into the performance, because that's what great singers do. And another thing to mention is this version of the song, because as we know with the original, we have multi-layered vocals, harmony lines that just sound great. But listening to this version, you'd say, well, this is great as well. But it's so stripped back and stripped down from the original. So again, I mean, when you're talking about a great singer, great artist, and a great song, it almost doesn't matter how stripped back you make it, it still sounds great. And yeah, I think more often than not, you've got to have that combination in order for it to work. For it to just to be a great song, it'll stand up with even people doing totally different versions of it. It still stands up because the original melody is so strong and so memorable. The other thing that might fly under your radar from a vocal perspective is the way that the dynamic is always changing, the dynamic range that Seal has with his phrases. For example, have a listen to
Can tell you so much he can say, you remain.
Just that light kind of head voice sound of you remain, and then coming back down again, and then
My power, my pleasure, my pain.
you can almost see that as a line on a graph. We have ascended in pitch, but we've also ascended in a dynamic way as well. So the na 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 na. So you see how those two things paired together with that ascension in pitch, by leaning into it a little bit more, it's going to give it so much more expression because of the dynamics, the way that it's put in there. And it's not something that Seal is thinking, okay, right, I need to sing that volume and then I'm going to sing that word at that volume. It's just a natural thing.
Baby, to me you're like a grown addiction that I can't deny.
I mean, that's so cool as well. The little baby and kind of coming back down again.
Won't you tell me, is that healthy, baby?
And again, it's got this almost talking quality to it, but getting that connection of telling the story of the song, but pairing that with pitch accuracy. But yeah, I mean, there's so much in here.
Did you know when it snowed, my eyes become larger?
And, because I've heard this song for so many years, I've never analysed it. But when you do analyse it, you think, hang on. You think, well, that's quite a jump in a really quick phrase. You just take it all for granted because Seal does it so well.
Did you know when it snowed, my eyes
Such a cool change from major to minor as well.
become larger and the light that you shine can't be seen. Baby, I can pay you to a kiss from a rose on a grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. Know that your rose is in bloom. A light hits the gloom on the grave. Da 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 da.
Again, just in danger of listening to it all.
Been kissed by a rose on a grave.
I mean, kissed by a rose on the grave. So you hear, and this is the great thing about this song, you hear all the harmony lines in your head somehow. But, I mean, this is really cool as well because even without all of those, this is still really cool. Notice how Mason on guitar here is now arpeggiating the chords. I mean, throughout it, just sounds so accurate from a pitch perspective, but also played, and just the sound of the vocal being so crisp and clean. But you'll get this kind of thing where it sounds great, and I mean, you pretty much get the opposite of what pitch correction would be, as in we can have a held note that is actually two distinct pitches. You can see here we were flat of the G sharp 3, and then we just went up just still below the G sharp 3, but we've almost got this kind of offset of pitch, but it's all within the same note, and it's not something that you're really going to notice. It was just that. But you can see how, when we're looking at it in detail, that actually changed pitch. So in the modern era with pitch correction, that would have been moved up higher to the G sharp 3. So it wouldn't have been allowed to be that, even though we can't tell that it did this when you're looking at it. And this is the in my opinion, the silly thing about the modern day music industry is that they're changing things like this. You can't hear that there's been any change in pitch, but you can see it. So because they can see it, they then change it, and then it obviously becomes very mechanical, because this will now be perfectly over the line as well as that first section. But yeah, such an accurate vocal, and I love it when we have just the freedom to go where the voice goes. So a really interesting one for tonight from that authentic vocal angle, but also just a great performance. And a huge thank you to Mason for sorting me out with the footage. And yeah, head over to Vertex Effects, because I think this was a little bit of a break from their normal format over there, because they do talk about the guitarists behind particular hits, and obviously talk about effects and setups, and it's all a really interesting stuff. And check out this interview with Seal over there as well. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Keep the requests for future analysis videos coming in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!